Justin Peck makes it a pair of High Limit victories on the season. Tyler Courtney takes the points lead, and High Limit heads to Wisconsin for the very first time. All of that and more this week on the High Limit Room. I'm Chase Rodman. Welcome back to the High Limit Room. We are glad that you are joining us. We're going to be talking about some things that happened this week. And we'll talk about things that are happening upcoming this week as well. Here for High Limit Racing, we went to Butler on Saturday, and then we've got 141 and Red Cedar coming up as well. Let's get into some of the things that happened this week. Actually, before we get into that, I did want to clear the air here because there were a lot of people asking where I was at over the weekend. My sister was getting married, and they needed they didn't have a flower girl. So they had to have a flower boy, and that was me. So I had to walk down the aisle, throw some flowers around, and so congrats to my sister on getting married. So that's where I was at this weekend. Had a lot of people asking me what exactly was going on. So if you did not hear, I was at a wedding in California, and so we have made it back here, and we'll be back for 141 and Red Cedar. So let's get into what happened. A recap of the week that was with High Limit. Of course, we can't seem to go a week without having a little bit of rain in the forecast. We were supposed to run on Friday night at Lawrenceburg Speedway. And that was the 12th race of the year that was affected in some sort of way by weather. But luckily, the race at Lawrenceburg Speedway, which was the Driven to Save Lives Battle at the Berg, was able to be rescheduled by High Limit Racing officials for September 17th. That is the same week as the Four Crown at Eldora Speedway. And so we hope to see you there. If you were planning on going there this week, unfortunately, there was nothing we could do, but we were able to get that one rescheduled. Once again, that date is September 17th, the same week as the Four Crown Nationals at Eldora. And we hope to see you there for what is sure to be a Race of the Year candidate. Every time we go to Lawrenceburg, you can expect to see incredible action. And so we are very happy to be able to get that one rescheduled once again. Now, for the race that we did get in, it was at the Butler Motor Speedway in Quincy, Michigan, which featured an incredible field of 38 cars in attendance. And I believe that I heard Tony Laporta on the broadcast mention that it was the most cars at that track since 2009 when it comes to 410 wing sprint cars. So a very, very good field of cars. And things did get off to a very interesting start in Capital Custom Trailer qualifying. We saw Rookie of the Year candidate Danny Sams III returning to his old stomping grounds and going quick time for the first time this season. He was quick time in Flight A and quick time overall. And Tanner Thorson ended up quick time in Flight B, which is something that team has struggled with this year. So I'm sure they were very, very happy to be holding that Capital Custom Trailer quick time sign when qualifying was over. So nice job by Danny Sams and Tanner Thorson to start the night off the right way. The heat races went to Cy Lynch, Justin Peck, Brenham Crouch, and Brad Sweet. Justin Peck able to get the first ace in the hole of the year. He went from 4th to the win in the heat race, which put him on the pole automatically of the FK Roddins Dash. He was able to win that. He would start on the front row of the Base Thomas Classic alongside of Aaron Reitzel and in front of an absolutely sold-out grandstand. I mean, you could not fit anybody else in there. Justin Peck would lead 29 of the 30 laps after a spirited battle with Brad Sweet. And then late in the race, Aaron Reitzel, who at one point had dropped all the way back to 4th, was able to rebound to 2nd and was pretty close on the back bumper of Justin Peck coming to the checkered flag. And so once again, 2 years in a row, Butler Motor Speedway delivers. The checkered flag flew around 9 p.m. local time, and that left the Butler fans plenty of time to get into the pit area, get autographs, get pictures, do all that good stuff. I saw pictures of the pit area after the race, and it was absolutely jam-packed. You could not fit anybody else in the pit area. And so that's the things we try to do with High Limit Racing, give the fans, give those kids that opportunity to get down there and meet all of their favorite drivers. But that wouldn't be the whole story on the night. After crossing the finish line in 3rd, championship points leader Brad Sweet did not report to the scales and was disqualified after the race, relegating him to a 25th place position. And that would promote Rico Abreu to 3rd in the race, Tanner Thorson to 4th. And the new Kubota High Limit Racing points leader is Tyler Courtney after a 5th place result. Once again, Brad Sweet would be scored back in 25th. Did want to give a shout out once again, Tanner Thorson, his best run of the year with a 4th place run. Cy Lynch, his best run of the year as well. He finished up in 8th. And also, some local Ohio drivers made their way up there and had top 10 runs. Zane DeVault and Casey Jedrzejek. Nice run by both of those guys, ending up inside of the top 10 over there at the Butler Motor Speedway. Just man, that's a race I'm upset that I did not be able to, make it to. It's so fun to go to Butler. The fans are always just so excited to see national touring sprint cars, and so it was great to see a really good crowd, a good race, green to checkered. Ending early and being able to get to the pit area is always so very important to grow the sport that we are all involved in. Now, let's get into the race previews for this upcoming week as High Limit does head for the first time to the state of Wisconsin. The races will take place on Tuesday and Wednesday with stops at 141 Speedway in Marybelle, Wisconsin, and Red Cedar Speedway in Menominee, Wisconsin. Both of them are Roto-Rooter Midweek Series races. First up, let's talk about 141. As we mentioned, it's located in Marybelle. It's going to be the Race Redeem Foundation race, which will pay $26,000 to the winner. 141 has played host to dozens of IRA races in the past, ever since it opened back in 1999. But on Tuesday, it will be the very first National Touring Sprint Car Series race to be held there at that racetrack. And going in, Brenham Crouch is the only high roller with previous experience at this 1/3 mile, finishing fourth with the IRA Sprint Cars in 2023, the same year that he won the championship with that series. So Brenham Crouch, the only one with experience at 141 when it comes to all of the full-timers. Earlier this year, it was Scotty Thiel who got a win with the IRA at 141. That was back on May 25th. They had a solid 30-car field there, and we are expecting to have a pretty solid field ourselves as well. We got Anthony Macri going to be there, Kyle Larson, Corey Day. We know that TJ Stutz, Ayrton Jennison, Joel Myers Jr. Will be joining the fold, and they will be trying to join in with all of the Wisconsin and IRA drivers that will going to be in the field as well. Going into this one, Mike Ranke currently holds the track record there. It's at a 10.668 second lap time set back in 2014. And so if you like track records, I would be sure to tune into Capital Custom Trailer Qualifying on Tuesday, because we could certainly see a new track record set there at 141 Speedway. The weather right now does not look ideal, but there is a rain date set for this one. If we don't get it in on Tuesday, we will run on Thursday, the day after the Red Cedar race. So don't fret. If we can't get it in, we will get it in at some point this week. And then also, the other race that's going on this week on Wednesday night, we're going to be going up to the Red Cedar Speedway in Menominee. That will be the fourth Roto-Rooter Midweek Series race of the year. And this race comes with even more uncertainty as zero, goose egg, no high rollers have ever visited this 3/8 mile racetrack. It hasn't even hosted a 410 wing sprint car race since Bill Baylog topped an IRA event back in 2006. So do the math, which I am not good at. That tells me I believe it's 19 years since they've had a 410 wing sprint car race at Red Cedar Speedway. I was doing some research, watched a couple of videos from some non-wing shows, a couple street stock races. It looks like it could race very, very well. So looking forward to getting to a new racetrack. And once again, we're hoping for about 30-ish cars in attendance. We got guys like Max Guilford, Scotty Neitzel, Austin Hartman, Tyler Brabant, and a couple of others we are expecting to see join the high rollers. Those names I just mentioned are guys that run full-time with IRA. And so hopefully we see a couple more of those guys decide to show up with us later on this week. Hot laps and qualifying should be fun as drivers attempt to get acquainted with the racetrack, because really there is not much video to go off of when it comes to sprint car racing at Red Cedar. Like I said, I saw a Wisconsin wingless race there on YouTube. That's it. Could not find any wing sprint car stuff there. As we mentioned, first race since 2006 there. And from my research, the track record currently held by Todd Hepner. It was on August 22nd of 2003. The track record is a 14.386 second lap time. So could see a track record both nights in a row when High Limit Racing rolls into Wisconsin. So really looking forward to seeing who comes out on top. Could we see a surprise winner? Usually when you go into some tracks with a lot of unknown, you could see some crazy things happen. A guy to watch for, no doubt about it, is going to be Brad Sweet. He's been unbelievable in the state of Wisconsin in his career. One of his winningest states, if not his winningest state of his sprint car racing career. And so we'll see if he's able to add to his resume at 141 and at Red Cedar. So hopefully you guys will all tune in on FloRacing. I know there's going to be a lot of Wisconsin fans showing up for these two races, and so we hope to see you there. If you want to come up and say hi, make sure to do that over there at the racetrack. Me and Tony always available to take pictures and talk to you guys and all that stuff. So don't be afraid to do that. So let's jump into our second segment, a race we've got coming up here soon. It's the Eagle Nationals at Eagle Raceway. And earlier this year, we were able to talk to a bunch of the high rollers and hear their thoughts on one of the raciest joints in North America.
Eagle, the post race there is just, the fans are incredible. Nebraska, They just they're incredible people there, and they love sprint car racing, and that's something that you go to certain events. And you might not get a lot of that, but then you go to other events such as Eagle, and just the amount of people that flood the pits and flood to your trailer and ask for autographs and just want to talk, it's unreal. It actually, it's a great feeling. Makes you feel like, okay, this was worth us coming here. This is worth us being a part of, this event, as a driver and as an owner. Because it does take a lot to get up and down the road. So when you're traveling that far away from home and you have experiences like that, it's so worth it. And I love it. I love being a part of that. And they don't get a lot of sprint car racing out there. And there's other parts of the country that are the same. They just don't get to see us a lot. So when we're there, they just show their appreciation. And such a cool experience to be a part of. I absolutely love it.
I obviously love Eagle. I've never lost there.
And off of turn number 4, 3 in a row at Eagle Raceway, Kyle Larson wins the Bikini Zone Eagle Nationals.
It's a cool track. It's got a ton of banking. Throughout the track, it's got a kind of a D-shaped backstretch. The dirt there is really good. The dirt in Middle America is great. So, and then it's kind of just in the middle of nowhere, really. And the place is packed with 7,000 to 8,000 people there on a Tuesday night. So the people, to me, is what makes the event and makes the atmosphere. So, the crowd is awesome. The pit area is slam packed. I mean, all day, really, before the races, during the races, and especially after the races. And the track itself just produces great, exciting racing. So another one of those, technical tracks that gets rough in spots, grippy in spots, slick in spots. It's just hard to hit your marks every lap.
I think Eagle's just a popular racetrack. It's there's so many fans and drivers up in that area that show up, and I think it took us 3 hours to get out of that place one night. So I like it. It's short track racing. It's got a lot of entertainment throughout the races, and it's a track that you would expect to have good racing, and it does.
That may have been the break Rico needed. He dials up the inside lane. Does he have enough momentum? He does. Avery clears Larson. Kyle crosses back over. 4 to go. This time by Larson goes back to the point.
We're now into our third segment of the show where we talk about things that have happened over the last week and things that are coming up this week as well here on the High Limit Room. We are now in Green Bay, Wisconsin. We are at the Country Inn and Suites. I'm in room 109, Brian room 114, and Tony, you are sharing a room with Brian, so you are not in room 114. You are in the conference room, it looks like. Is that right?
Yep, he kicked me out. He gave me the old heave-ho. So I'm here in the business center.
In the business center. Got to do some business is what Tony's doing right now. So, well, let's talk about some things that happen here at Butler Motor Speedway. We'll start off with the odds of what happened and who won and things like that. Obviously, Brian is the expert in that category. If you want to learn more about how to get involved with high limit racing to play for real money, go to nxtbets.com/playhlr. While you are on there, it'll show you some different sports books that are in your region, and it'll give you a sign-up bonus on there as well. So, Brian, let's hear about the odds from Butler because Justin Peck went into that, and I feel like over the last couple of races, the odds makers have started to take a liking to the Redeem 26, so he probably wasn't as high as maybe he was a few weeks ago, but still, if you would have put a little bit of money on him, it would have paid pretty well.
Yeah, he was plus 1,000 the other night at Butler. So, I mean, still $10 makes you $100. That's a Benjamin. Never turn away that. There was Rico. Who was up there? You had Aaron. Aaron Reitzel really flipped the page, too, to the odds makers. At the beginning of the year, remember, he was opening at plus 1,500 to 2,000 every night. I guess him and Peck both. So, those odds have really changed a lot, and obviously rightfully so. Looking at what we just got the 141 odds about an hour or so ago, and I'll give you $5 if you can guess who the favorite is, Chase.
Yeah, I'm looking at him right now, so I'm already cheating. Yeah, but yeah. Kyle Larson is obviously the guy that is going to be at the top of the odds sheet there, but there's definitely some interesting numbers here, including the most recent winner, Justin Peck, at plus 1,900. So he wins the race and his odds drop. So I'm not exactly sure how that works, but another one that I like on that list there, Brian, and he already won a race at 141 this year, Scotty Thiel, coming in at plus 6,500. Now, I know it's a little bit of a long shot, but Scotty Thiel knows his way around Wisconsin. If I'm somebody watching, a little $3, $5 bet on Scotty Thiel might not be a bad idea.
Yeah, Scotty has some really good value. Corey Day, I feel he obviously hasn't been there at 141. I feel like, as small as this place is, it could be right up his alley. He's at plus almost 1,200. That's another one to keep your eye on, too.
Yeah, looking at some of the head-to-head matchups here, we've got Tyler Courtney against Brad Sweet. Sunshine plus 147 for that if he's able to beat Brad Sweet. Kyle Larson versus Rico Abreu. Abreu is plus money on that one at plus 143. And then I kind of like this one, Anthony Macri versus Brent Marks, and Marks is the plus money guy on that one at plus 119. So maybe throw a parlay together there on a couple of guys to beat a couple of others. And then, of course, we've got the DFS as well, a couple of drivers to finish better or worse than the position that is given to them by the sportsbook. So let's get into some other stuff that happened at Butler as well. Obviously, I was not there, but, it was a pretty exciting show. I mean, I was able to watch the replay. Tony, tell us about how it went for you. You had a pretty busy night. I'm sure your legs are, feeling like you just, did a bunch of squats or something. I'm not sure, but going up and down the stands. And you didn't look too sweaty on the broadcast from what I watched.
Well, that was the goal all along, right, Chase, was to not look too sweaty. It was a lot of fun. Definitely a weird feeling, high limit race, not having you there, not having you on the call. So really glad you're back for the rest of the week and the rest of the season. But again, just like the social media post I made, really want to say thank you to Brad, JP, Mike, everybody at Flo, yourself, Kendra, for trusting me to fill in for you and be able to still do what I do down in the infield. Had a great time, and I'm really fortunate. I think I lucked out because, Butler's awesome, right? It was the race of the year back in 2024. I think it could be in the running for that honor, at least through what we've seen this year. Really wanted to get Lawrenceburg in. I love that place. Would have gotten to be in the booth since you were gone both nights. But with such a big car count at Butler and so many locals to learn about and talk to, focusing on just that one night was fine. Love that track. Love those people out there. And I thought the racing was great. Obviously, a little bit of drama sprinkled in. You got a new championship point leader, Tyler Courtney, out in front of Brad Sweet. So that's big. Brad and his crew, I can tell you from talking to them, way, way, way after the fact, like late in the night after we got out of Quincy, his crew was upset, but they understood the circumstances of what happened. Ty Wolfgang is a super passionate, young guy who's leading that crew on the technical side for Brad. So he was fired up about it, but he understood. I'm told that him and Mike Hess had a good phone call, and they kind of walked through each other's concerns and confusion. So, but if nothing else, man, that really shakes up the championship picture as the summer starts to heat up here. A very busy month of May wraps up with a wild result and seeing Brad getting popped and removed from the podium. So pretty crazy weekend.
Yeah, it certainly was. And, we'll get more into that here in just a moment. But I had a lot of people messaging me asking exactly where I was at. And I, like I said, I went back and watched a lot of the broadcasts. And Tony, I think you mentioned it like 5 or 6 times, but still wasn't enough. I had a lot of people asking me where I was at. So went to my sister's wedding. They needed a flower girl. They didn't have one, so I ended up being the flower boy. So that was something. So congrats to her, my sister Carly, and now her husband Riley. So that was cool to be there for that. I did want to say thanks as well to Brad and Mike and Kyle and everybody for letting me leave. And that was pretty cool of them. So thanks to you guys for that. Now, Brian, we had 1 million people at Butler once again, which seems to be the case every time we go there. And then also the other thing, from what I saw, I wasn't able to watch the live show, but I was getting the updates from the High Limit social page. What time did the checkered fly? Was it around 8:30? It seemed like it was once again a really early night at Butler.
Yeah, it was relatively early. Let's see. My Justin Peck wing dance was at 9:30. So that's pretty good. Yeah, the fans were it was jam packed again. The best part of that place too is like, we saw the beautiful sunset going on as the feature was rolling out, and we get done so early that the pit area is just loaded full of people. I mean, you can't even find the cars. All you can see is people for miles. I saw an overhead drone shot of like the whole facility too, around, I don't know, probably 5 or 6 o'clock. And I mean, there were cars for miles. Their camping, I think, might have been sold out. It's just really cool to see how the Michigan sprint car fans receive us.
Yeah, definitely. They are big fans of high limit racing up there. That is for sure. So Tony mentioned it. Brad Sweet did get DQ'd there, and that is a huge shakeup in the point standings. And now, after 15 races or so, we do have a new points leader, and that is, of course, Tyler Courtney. Heading into this week at 141 in Red Cedar, he has a 6-point lead over Brad Sweet. And the top 6 in points are now within 68 points of each other. It's Courtney, Sweet, Abreu, Marks, Reitzel, and Peck. And this is getting pretty crazy. And this is going to make it even more interesting when we go to these tracks this week, 141 in Red Cedar, Tony, because the only driver that has any experience at both these tracks is Brenham Crouch. And he went to 141 like 2 years ago. No one's been to Red Cedar, and Crouch the only one to 141. So this could be another shakeup in the points, especially bringing those Wisconsin guys, the IRA guys that'll be racing with us as well. It could be another big shakeup in the point standings by the time the week's over.
Well, and, of course, Brenham Crouch has been to 141 thanks to his time with the IRA. I was just looking at their results. They were last there back just, a few days ago, May 25th. Scotty Field got the win out there, and Brenham had a really good run with us back on Saturday night at Butler. And I think it's, he's a young kid, right? He's still, I don't know. I feel like it's unfair to say that he's new to 410 wing sprint car racing because, he's not really, but he's definitely new to like a national tour and the grind of what high limit racing puts him through. And he had a really good night going at Butler, heat race victory, got into the redraw wheel. He showed up to the wheel. There was so much energy surrounding him that the microphone down there in victory lane just quit working, and probably didn't have the feature he wanted, starting 4th and going 10th. But a really good result for him on a big stage in front of some the always tough crowd of high rollers he has to compete against, as well as that local contingent. So, yeah, Brenham, I think you take him to a place that he's been before and he's got some confidence. It could really be a good deal for him. And it just is more of what high limit racing has been these last 2 years, I think, which is we don't go to the same tracks year after year after year, and we don't do 7 or 8 or 9 races at one track a year. So guys are always being forced to learn new tracks and make their cars work there. And with the shakeup you've already seen in the points, what else could be coming down the line? Going to 2 places with such unknowns for a lot of our teams and our drivers. And then Eagle's always crazy because you see a bunch of guys come in who don't race with us typically at that one, and that makes the competition really tough. The summer, I think, has a few more surprises in store for us here at High Limit Racing.
Yeah, it sure does. And, Brian, heading into this week, it reminds me a little bit of that stretch last year when we went kind of through that Oklahoma, the Arkansas, the Texas trip to all these tracks that nobody ever been to. It kind of reminds me a little bit of what we're going to see this week, maybe with 141 and Red Cedar. Really, nobody has a notebook going into this, so it could be definitely very interesting. And, I watched the highlights from last year. IRA had a race there, 141, and it was the FloRacing, I think it was the race of the week. I don't know if you've seen any highlights or not, Brian, but this 141 track looks like it's going to be really, really good. And I also heard that if you is this the track where if you win, you have to jump in the lake or something? I was told it's in the infield. I thought I heard
there is a pond there. I don't know if it's like a time-old tradition. I've seen Bobby Pierce do it at like Cedar Lake. Did you see the highlights from last week with IRA?
No, I just typed it in before we got on here. It was the race from last year, which was, it was great. It's Blackhurst and Thiel and Kyle Shu. It was like a new slider every corner. It was crazy.
So last week's highlights were even better, I think. Me and Carini watched them on the way over here, and it was a all-out war for probably the first half of the race. Todd King was up there, Scotty Thiel. It was an awesome race. I'm excited to check it out. It's going from we didn't get Butler in, but we were just at Port Royal for 3 nights, and the half-mile Speed Palace to as small as 141 is, is quite the contrast.
Yeah, it certainly is. And, Wisconsin has so many good racetracks. So that's just another one to add to the list there. And then Red Cedar on Wednesday, Tony. From my research, and I know you've been doing your research as well, but from what I could find, there has not been a 410 wing sprint car race at Red Cedar since 2006. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was Bill Baylog won. So that I just love when we go to places like this because literally you don't know what to expect. And, it could lead to a surprise winner. I just love going to places that nobody's been to because you just don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, Chase, it was really cool. I got invited on Blake Anderson, local up there at Red Cedar, has his own show, and those guys talked to me a little bit. And while we were talking about how much everybody was excited for High Limit coming up that way, they had a live comment section, I think, going off to the side. I think we were on Facebook Live or something. And people in the comments were local fans up there were debating when the last time 410 wing touring sprint cars were in that area. And I saw the same thing as you. A lot of early 2000s was pre-2010, pre-2008. It sounded like. So, that's, again, I know I'm beating the drum here often and a lot, but that's what I love about High Limit Racing, right? We're not going to the same places year after year. And Brad and Kyle and the series want to go out and try new places. And that's good for two reasons, right? It's good, one, I said this on the show with those guys up there. It's good, one, because we expose ourselves to new fan bases all the time. People who don't get to see national touring 410 wing sprint car racing. They're not used to seeing us, or people who don't typically get to see 410 wing traveling sprint car racing get to, because High Limit Racing goes to all these different venues year after year. And then the second reason that's good is because drivers and teams don't get to just build up a fat notebook, right? And once a guy gets on a roll, man, he's dominant there, and it's really tough to knock him off that top step of the podium. And I think that's just what makes our races really entertaining and exciting, is new places and new challenges for teams and drivers. Red Cedar is going to be the same. Nobody's been there, some ever, and others in a very long time. So, yeah, man, I'm just really looking forward to it. I think, Brian, maybe you mentioned it, spotty internet. I don't know. I might have missed it. But later on in the summer, we go to Fremont. No, I'm sorry, not Fremont, in Kentucky, Florence. We go to Florence, July 11th and 12th. That's a place where a lot of our regulars haven't been to, and other tracks where maybe they have been to, but just not often. So I love the parity in our schedule, and it's really going to throw everybody challenges every time we go to these new tracks.
Certainly is. Now, Brian, to kind of put a bow tie here on the points deal we were talking about, did want to give a shout out to Tanner Thorson, who has been moving up, it seems like, almost every week in the points. He's up to 7th now. He's up to 8th now, and just very, very close. He's closing in on Casey Kane, I want to say within 20 points of 7th, which you mentioned on the show last week, Brian, about the franchise. If Thorson could get by Kane, that would be a huge deal in the franchise. But it's been great to see him running up front more and figuring out qualifying. Tanner Thorson looked lost with the Capital Custom Trailer qualifying sign this week at Butler.
Yeah, as far as the franchise goes, I believe just getting 9th ahead of the 14 car puts him into that one of those two final franchise spots. Getting Casey is just going to be extra insurance. He's 21 points behind him right now. In a place like 141 and Red Cedar, as slick as they get, are probably going to be right up Tanner's alley. That's his jam. He was good at Eagle last year, too. I think he was in the dash. He started up front. And Lucas Oil, he contended for the win there last year, didn't he? One of the nights. So this whole upcoming stretch for the 88 crew is looking really good, and they've turned the corner.
Yep, Thorson was 4th there at Butler, his best run of the year, and best run of the year as well for Cy Lynch. He was 8th. Tony, do you have something to add on to that?
Well, and I mean, I'm kind of going to talk out of my rear end here. I haven't done all the research. I don't know if it's his best ever result on a big track. But how about, again, I know I mentioned it a lot during the broadcast on Saturday, but 11th. Tanner just missed out on the top 10 against a stacked field, okay, at the Bob Weichert Memorial on Sunday. Take the money out of it, right? Remove the fact that it was such a high-paying, richest sprint car race in Pennsylvania history. Get rid of all that. Tanner Thorson does not hide the fact that he doesn't really, jive with the big tracks, right? I don't know why that is. Maybe he doesn't know why that is. It doesn't matter. He had a great run at Port Royal for the Bob Weichert Memorial. Britton Marvel, his right-hand car chief guy over there for Rod Gross Motorsports, said he thought Tanner drove a very smart race on the half mile. That again, Tanner's not shy about saying he doesn't really get down with big track racing. So no doubt the momentum from Pennsylvania running 11th at such an important, challenging kind of big track, carrying that in to go 7th to 4th with us at Butler on a 3/8 mile. I'm with you, Brian. I think the fact we're going to two more relatively small in the grand scheme of thing racetracks for him, that's good news for Tanner Thorson.
Yeah, absolutely is. And we'll wrap up with this. We talked about Tyler Courtney taking the points lead, but he's been he's just been there here recently. He hasn't made a dash in 4 races, but he's been in the top 10. He's been having to come forward every night. Needs to take advantage of this huge opportunity that has been presented to him with that DQ for Brad Sweet. So Courtney 4 or 6 points ahead of Brad right now, but has not been in a dash in the last 4 events. Justin Peck, he's been extremely hot here recently. Last couple of runs for him, 3rd, 2nd, 1st, 13th, 4th, 15th, and 1st. So Justin Peck, very, very good stuff from Routine Racing, and obviously it's the Race Routine Foundation race at 141 this week, so he's going to want to perform there. And Brian, I wanted to end with this because we talked about Brad Sweet in the DQ. He's now back to 2nd in points, but when it comes to Wisconsin, I don't think there is a better state for Brad Sweet in his career as a sprint car driver than that of the Badger State. He's got wins at Beaver Dam, wins at Wilmot, wins at Angel Park, wins at Cedar Lake. Wisconsin is the personal ATM for Brad Sweet. He's been so very good there. We know he hasn't been to these 2 tracks that we're going to this week, but if history says anything, Brad Sweet is going to be an issue this weekend with the high rollers.
Yeah, I think one of my headlines in 2022 when I worked for the Outlaws was like something like the Badger State, because I know near the end of it, Wisconsin was the winningest state of his World of Outlaws career. Between Cedar Lake, Beaver Dam, Wilmot, he wins everywhere we go up in Wisconsin. And so getting to go to, but these are 2 new tracks for him too. Like you mentioned, 141 and Red Cedar. Anything can happen. I would, but he's also the 49. He's gonna have a little monkey on his back after coming off this DQ at Butler. So yeah, 49 win, he hasn't won since Central Arizona, probably. I think Central Arizona was the last one back in March. So they're definitely extra motivated to get back to victory lane.
Especially with $26,000 on the line at 141 for the Race Routine Foundation race. So, I think that's going to wrap up our 3rd segment. Tony and Brian, thanks for jumping on here. We will be heading down the road to the racetrack tomorrow, and we'll do it again on Wednesday at Cedar, or make that not Cedar Lake, but at Red Cedar as well. So thank you all for watching the High Limit Room. We hope you enjoyed it, and we hope to see you either at the racetrack this week. If you can't be there, make sure to tune in live on FloRacing.